Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Chloe and this is A Girl Like Me with Chloe M. So today's video is a little different than what I would normally do on my channel, but we are broadening our horizons here at A Girl Like Me. So today's video is going to be about Aether Beauty. Aether Beauty is a sustainable, clean, vegan beauty brand that's fair trade, uses really great ingredients. It's like gemstone powders. The Joshua Tree palette that I'll be reviewing today has hemp oil in it. All of their eyeshadow and blush palettes, I believe they're highlighter palettes. I didn't get the highlighter palette though. Highlighter palettes are completely recyclable, so they don't have a mirror or magnets in them, so you can just recycle them once you're done with them. And this brand just released their Joshua Tree palette. I think officially it launches on April 20th because it has hemp oil in it. So the Joshua Tree palette, the Rose Quartz eyeshadow palette, and the Rose Quartz cheek palette are what we will be using today. I'm gonna do this look and two other looks step by step for you guys, but first let's get into it. Okay, so each palette comes with a box. You get this really cool Aether Beauty kind of like cosmic card that has a quote on it. I think the eyeshadow palettes both have the same one, and then, or maybe like the Rose Quartz has one, Joshua Tree has one, and each type has a different one. But it's kind of cool. And then I got a letter from Tyla, the founder. It's really sweet, by the way. She's like a one-woman show. She does everything herself. So kudos to you, Tyla. First palette we'll review is the Rose Quartz Cheek Palette. So this is what it looks like outside of the box. Very beautiful. It looks like a gemstone. Very fitting. And then they each have one of these kind of elastic bands here. And then you open it and it has this little plastic protector with the names of each of them on there, and then a little message about the brand, how they're sustainable, each package is recyclable, and then the beautiful colors. So this here is called Heart. This is the highlighter. I'd say it's like a champagne, a pink curl. This highlighter is really interesting because throughout the day, the longer it wears, I think it makes your skin look smoother. This does have some glitteriness into it, but the more you work it into your skin, the more the glitter goes away, which is great for me. It's actually the highlighter I'm wearing right now. This blush here is called Compassion. This is like a peachy pink, kind of more neutral blush, which is gorgeous. And then the last shade is like the Punch Packer. This shade is called Self-Love, which is more of like a bright, cool tone pink. I will say all of these blushes are super pigmented. Like, go in with an extremely light hand, because when I first went in with these, I went ham and I looked very pink. I was like a clown. It was bad. But, I mean, it's gonna last you a really long time if you go in with a light hand. I think these are gorgeous. This one is the Rose Quartz colorway. She has another colorway, I think Ruby, which has a little bit more darker tones, and I think would work better on like medium to dark. I think this could work with medium. The highlight might look a little icy for medium skin, but I think, you know, medium light to fair, this would be great. The next palette we have here is the Aether Beauty Rose Quartz eyeshadow palette. So again, this is what it looks like, and the inside comes with one of those plastic sleeves with the names on it, and this is the colors here. So in this palette, you have 4 mattes, 2 satiny shades, 2 kind of like buttery creamy metallics, and then there's these 4 in the center that are like glittery, like toppers almost. I've used this one and this one, these kind of 3 here the most, and they don't have much of a base to them. You can build them up to like be more opaque, but it takes a little bit. But these I think more are toppers, but I've used them, and one of the looks I'm gonna do for you guys today is with this one here, and it's just gorgeous. So Rose Quartz, it's infused with Rose Quartz powder, and I will say I love this palette. I just love it. I have used kind of these 3 shades, this kind of greeny gray shade, and then this metallic kind of light green, almost silvery shade. That's called Crystalline. It is absolutely gorgeous. I used that one today as well. I can't wait to do more looks with this, especially this one here. It looks almost like a dupe for Blue Brown, except it has a little bit more of like a silver glitter to it too. So this one I'm really, really excited to work with. So that is the Rose Quartz eyeshadow palette by Aether Beauty. Just, oh, so good. And last, but certainly not least, is the whole reason that I bought all of this Aether Beauty stuff. The Joshua Tree palette. So if anyone knows of Khaki Reviews Beauty here on YouTube, she's kind of a clean, vegan, cruelty-free beauty influencer, beauty YouTuber, and she was talking about this Joshua Tree palette a few weeks ago, and she showed it in one of her videos, and took my breath away. This palette was, oh my god, it's gorgeous. It's insane. I mean, even just this packaging with like the fade from yellow to orange to red to pink to purple is just gorgeous, and the copper foil on here is just insane. So this is similar packaging to the other palettes, and then it has the little band, and then you open it, it has the sleeve. You guys don't judge me on how dirty it is, because I've been going in with this palette. This is Beauty. She's Grace. She's Miss United States. She's everything I need and want, and this is it, y'all. This is the future. So this is the Aether Beauty Joshua Tree palette. So I'm just gonna read you a couple things that come with the little handout you get with the palette. This says there are 12 buttery matte shades inspired by shades you find in the desert. 1% of sales go to the Joshua Tree National Park Association. Crystal charged pigment infused with citrine powder, which has regenerative properties to help with your skin's renewal process. Formulated with organic coconut oil and organic shea butter to create uber smooth buttery texture for one swipe application. Harnessing the power of organic hemp-derived cannabis sativa oil, which is loaded with plenty of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that are anti-inflammatory, next-level skin moisturizers. Fully recyclable and sustainably packaged using FSC paper and soy ink. This is vegan, cruelty-free, clean ingredients, and zero waste. Aether Beauty, supercharged sustainable cosmetics. Pretty much everything it says here, with all of the different oils in here, the coconut oil, the shea butter, the hemp seed oil, these mattes are so buttery. They are so buttery and they are so pigmented. I was worried when I first saw, open this, and I was like, okay, these all look super matte. A lot of clean beauty, I think, out there. You go and you get a matte and it can be super chalky. And as soon as I swatched this, I was blown away. Especially this orange. Oh, I'm gonna have to show you. It was just like bada bing, hello. And then this here, Wildflower, which is the reason I got the palette, because I saw Wildflower and I was like, hi. And this color here, Agave, just like a deep teal. Hello? Jesus Christ in heaven. These are insane, officially. And you'll see, when you swipe them, they have this, powdery buildup on them, but it's just because they're so buttery. So, the Joshua Tree palette, I'm gonna go through the swatches here in a little bit. I'll put up the pictures, the names, the swatches all in one photo, and we'll go through those together. Overall, Aether Beauty, it is a frickin' bomb brand. I don't know why I was expecting it to be something. I mean, a lot of the times I love clean beauty. Clean beauty is one of my favorite things because a lot of things in my life revolve around trying to be more sustainable and trying to be more eco-friendly. and so when I can combine my love of cosmetics with all of those things, it's a home run. But sometimes in the clean beauty industry, things don't perform that well, and especially eyeshadows, especially pigmented eyeshadows like this. And when I got these palettes, the game was over for me. I recommend that you go out and buy them. She has a couple other palettes and highlighters too. I didn't get the highlighters. I'd recommend 100,000% to get these because they're amazing. If you all would like, this is completely optional, I do have an affiliate code with Aether Beauty that I will link down below for, I think it's like 15% off or 20% off. So if you want a discount on these things, please feel free to use my affiliate link. If not, just go to the Aether website and pay full price. And I think the Rose Quartz palette right now is 20% off on the website, so definitely go check it out. I'm going to show you, my first look that I'll show you is 2 different looks on the same face. So I'll do one cool tone look, one warm tone look, and then I'll show you this kind of purpley, kind of wildflower and prickly pear toned look. So, biggest thing here on YouTube is if you enjoy this video, the thing that helps me the most is if you share this video or other videos with people who may enjoy them. Also giving my videos a thumbs up, commenting, you know, clicking the little bell so you know when I have videos come up. Really, really important. If you can, much appreciated. Thank you, thank you. Without further ado, here we go.
So first up we have the Rose Quartz Crystal Gemstone Palette. First shade I swatched is Stardust, which is described as a light pink shimmer. Second shade is Sandstone, a neutral matte. Next up we have Heartstone, which is a rose pink shimmer. Then I swatched Reawakening, which is a pink to gold duochrome. Then we have Rose Quartz, an antique rose metallic. Then we have Divine, a pink to peach duochrome. Next we have the shade Astarte, which is a lavender to silver blue duochrome. The next shade I swatched is the color Scorpio, which is a rose brown matte. Then the next shade is Aura, which is a maroon to blue purple duochrome. After that, the shade Crystalline, which is an antique champagne metallic. Then we have the color Aphrodite, which is a violet gray matte. And the last color is Grounding, a charcoal matte. Next up we have the Crystal Charged Cheek Palette in the colorway Rose Quartz. The shades are going from the highlighter all the way to the bright pink blush. The first shade is Heart, which is described as a luminous light pink highlighter. The second shade is Compassion, which is described as a peachy pink matte. And the last shade is called Self-Love, which is described as a rose pink matte. Last but certainly not least, we have the Joshua Tree Desert Matte Eyeshadow Palettes. So the first shade that I swatched is Pixie Rock. It's described as a light sand matte. The next shade is Poppy, which is a peachy tan matte. After that we have Tumbleweed, which is a warm brown matte. The next shade I swatched is the color Ember Glow, which is described as a sunset orange matte. After that I swatched Citrine, which is described as a daffodil matte. Next is Prickly Pear, which is an orchid matte. And then Wildflower, which is a violet matte. Next up we have Joshua Tree, which is described as a sage green matte. Then we have Agave, which is a blue-green teal matte. Next is Mesquite, which is a bark brown matte. And last we have New Moon, which is a black matte. First up, we have this cool-toned Spotlight Eye. First, we're going to take that soft matte pink shade color Pixie Rock and a BK Beauty 201 blender brush and blend that from our crease up to our brow and under our bottom lash line. I'm just going to take a Real Technique small powder brush and Marc Jacobs Finish Line powder and lay a little bit of powder underneath in case there's any fallout. Again, I'm just using the BK Beauty 201 and the color Pixie Rock and blending out the bottom and top lash lines just to set the concealer. Next up, with a BK Beauty 203 brush and the color Agave, we're going to lay that down on our outer corner and inner third of our mobile eyelid and really just pack that color in and build that color up.
Oh, that's all right.
You can keep going back into the Agave color with the BK 203 to build up the intensity of that teal. Next up, with that same BK Beauty 203, you'll take the Agave color and pack it in on the lower outer third of the lower lash line. Make sure that you're rounding the shape out. And back in with the BK 203 and Agave on the inner third of your lower lash line. Next up, with a BK 202 blender brush, I go into the matte green color Joshua Tree, and I'm just blending out the Agave higher up towards the brow. Side note, these BK Beauty brushes are bomb. All you really need to do is just pat, use small little circular motions, and slowly diffuse that color out. These brushes practically do the blending for you. And we are going to take that Joshua Tree color and blend out the Agave on the lower lash line as well. For this look, you're really going to want to concentrate on blowing out the edges of this shape and making a round kind of shape for this eye look. I'm going to go back into the BK 201 and the color Pixie Rock to buff out the edges where we placed the Joshua Tree color. Next up, with the Sigma eyeshadow base brush and Kosas Revealer Concealer, we are going to cut the middle of the eye so that we have somewhere to put the metallic shadow for the spotlight eye. So you'll bring this down the center of your upper and lower lid to create that space.
Oh, that's all right.
I'm going to use that same Sigma brush with whatever product it has on it and fan out the top edge of that concealer, just so we get a more blown out effect when we apply the metallic shade to the center of our lid all the way up to the crease. Next up, we are going to apply the crystalline color from the Rose Quartz palette on to where we applied the concealer with our finger, both on the top lid and lower lid. And then we're going to take a MAC 217 with that crystalline shade and just buff that out into the crease and up towards the brow so we get that smoked out effect. And then I'll take that same brush with what's ever left and buff that into the agave shade on the lid just to make sure that it is seamless. Going back in with a BK 203 in the color agave, I'm just re-establishing that dark kind of teal matte on the inner and outer corners of my upper lid and lower lids and blending that into the crystalline shade. Next, I'm taking a MAC 219 and the color Divine, and I'm bringing it down the center of the upper and lower lid. It's going to give us a little bit more dimension and warmth. Next, I'm going to take my Luxie 249 brush in the color Stardust from the Rose Quartz palette and highlight my inner corner and my brow bone. Go in with a clean BK 201 and just do a final buff around the edges. Next up, I'm taking my Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Liner in the color 0 and lining the waterline inner and lower thirds just to emphasize that spotlight shape. And then I'm going to take that same liner and I am going to tight line the upper lash line with it. I'm going to use that same eyeliner to do a small thin line on my upper lashes just to conceal my fake lashes. On a small Wet n Wild angle brush, I'm taking the color Agave and I'm placing it over the black eyeliner in our waterline to intensify that kind of dark teal and create that spotlight effect even more so. I'm going to quickly show you how I keep my lashes down in the corners. I take the lash glue I use with a little brush tip and I place a couple dots of glue directly above my lashes on the inner and outer corners where I have the most trouble keeping the eyelashes down throughout the day. This is really going to help everything stay in place and it'll secure your lashes once you apply them. So this is the final look with mascara and lashes. I am just a frickin' geek. Sorry for being so absolutely silly, but it's in my nature. Next up we have this warm toned look. So the same way we started the last look, I'm going to take my BK Beauty 201 with the color Pixie Rock throughout my crease all the way to the brow and my lower lash line. Next up with my BK Beauty 201, I am picking up the color Poppy, which is a warm brown matte, just to build up a transition color in my crease. I'm also going to take that on the lower lash line and use this brush to start winging out the shape of the eyeshadow.
Gorgeous.
Next up, we're going to take the matte yellow shade Citrine on a BK Beauty 201 and buff that on the poppy color up to the eyebrow, and we'll do that below the poppy color on the lower lash line. Just really want to diffuse this color and make this nice and smooth. Next up, we're going to take the BK Beauty 205 angled shadow brush in the color Ember Glow, which is this vibrant orange matte. We're going to use that to create kind of that winged out shape and then define that socket and blow out the crease with that really, really warm orange. Next up, with the BK202, I'm going back into the color Poppy and buffing out the edges of the orange, just again to make this nice and smooth and seamless. And then back in with a clean BK201 to buff everything out. Then we're going to take the BK202 in the color Rosewood on the outer V towards the center of the lid just to deepen this look. I was having a little bit harder time building this color up, but we got there eventually. Once I had the Rosewood color on, I was starting to think that the Ember Glow, the orange color, wasn't peeking through enough, so I went back in with the BK201 and the color Ember Glow and really concentrated that on the crease up to the brow, just with soft kind of windshield wiper motions, and just really focused on buffing that color up. I'm also taking more of that yellow color Citrine on the 201 and bringing that up towards the brow just to smooth that Ember Glow color out. Next on the BK203, we're going to take the color Mesquite, which is described as a bark brown, on the outer corner and wing out that shape. Next, on a Sigma eyeshadow base brush with the Kosas Revealer Concealer, we're going to cut the crease here and feather that towards that darker shade and kind of just tap it to blend it in. So going in with a BK Beauty 203, we're going into the color Reawakening, which is this duochrome pink red. It's pretty amazing. I did have to spray my brush with setting spray, but once it got there, it got there. Going back in with the BK203 and the color Mesquite just to reestablish some of that depth from the dark brown.
Oh, that's all right.
Then we're going to go back in with the BK202 and the color Rosewood to create a gradient from Mesquite to Rosewood to Reawakening. Then going back in to the color Divine from the Rose Quartz palette in a MAC 219, taking that in my inner corner and under my brow. Then taking the BK203 brush and the color Rosewood under the lower lash line and connecting it to the winged out part of the top. And then we'll take the shade Ember Glow on the same 203 brush at the front inner portion of the lower lash line and blend that into Rosewood just to get a little bit of warmth. I was feeling my oats. Next, with the Milk Longwear Gel Eyeliner in the color CEO, we're going to create a smudgy wing. Using the same eyeliner, we're going to tightline both the top and bottom lash lines. Then with a Wet n Wild angle brush and the color Mesquite from the Joshua Tree palette, we'll smudge that out. This is the look without lashes. I'll be back with lashes and mascara. Next up, we have this soft purple spring inspired look. So if you haven't sensed a trend, I'm taking the 201 and the color Pixie Rock through my crease and my lower lash line. Then taking the BK201 into the color Prickly Pear and building up that kind of orchid color in the crease, and I'm going to blow that up towards the brow. I was really excited about using this Wildflower shade So I'm taking the BK Beauty 203 with the shade Wildflower. Originally I was going to do another kind of spotlight eye, but then I decided I just wanted an all matte lid. So I went in and I covered the whole lid with Wildflower, and then I took this BK 203 and I pressed it into the socket. And this brush is really good about blending when you press into the socket. So you'll see here I'm kind of going back and forth to start blending that Wildflower color into the prickly pear color.
Oh, that's all right.
Then I'm taking the BK 203 back into the prickly pear and just stamping it just right at the border of the Wildflower color. Then taking a clean BK 201 and just buffing the edges. Then I'll take the color Pixie Rock on a BK 204 and highlight my brow. Then I'm going to go into my BK 204 with the colors Wildflower and New Moon to create some depth on the outer corner. Then with my BK 202 I mixed the colors Prickly Pear and Tumbleweed and put that on my lower lash line. Then with a MAC 219, I'm taking the color Heart from the Rose Quartz Cheek Palette and using that as an inner corner highlight. I'm going to take the Milk Liner in CEO and tightline my upper waterline. I'm going to finish my other eye and put on mascara and lashes, and I will be back. This is the final look with lashes and mascara. We are going to finish off the face with the Rose Quartz Cheek Palette. First, we're going to put some Cover FX Dewy Setting Spray to refresh my face makeup. I already have bronzer on with the Milk Matte Bronzer Stick, and now I'm going into the BK 104 face brush and the color Compassion. I'm just going to place that on the apples of my cheek and bring that back. With that same BK 104, I'm going into the color Self Love, which is the kind of brighter pink. As you can see here, I put way too much on. I was underestimating this shade. So to correct that, I just use my BK Beauty Sponge with whatever concealer is left, and I just tap it over the edges of that, and it brings down the pigment just a little bit. Next up, I'm just taking a Wet n Wild highlighter brush into the color Heart, which is the highlighter shade in the Rose Quartz Cheek Palette. This is intense. This is the final look. I hope you all enjoyed. I have to throw in these classic influencer model poses. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I really hope that you check out Aether Beauty. Aether is definitely up and coming, and if you want to create these 3 eyeshadow looks and get a discount, go ahead and check out my description box for my discount code. Bye!